Hello and welcome to this week's video on narcissistic supply. You may have heard this term when you read literature on narcissism, but what is it? In order to understand this, it's helpful to use the image of the sense of self being a bucket. If you have a really good sense of self, of who you are, then your bucket will be filled with just your inner sense of self, the inner beautiful stream of goodness that comes within, that you know you matter, regardless of whether other people agree with you, don't agree with you, give you commendation or not. You have a sense of goodness within you that doesn't go craving for anything to fill your own bucket. You've got it being filled from within. Now imagine a narcissist's bucket. Their sense of self has a huge hole at the bottom. Now, how do you fill that? You can fill it with outside things like praise, adoration, beautiful sensations coming through them by giving them compliments. They feel good. But then with the narcissist, because of their huge hole, it'll go right through them. And in order to therefore feel that sense of goodness inside of them, they have to go and fill that bucket again and again and again. It's almost like a drug that they need in order to feel that sense of self, that they matter. It's all coming from outside. They do not have the capacity to create it from within, from inside of them. And that is the damaged self. So with narcissistic supply, how else might the narcissist be able to fill their bucket? You see, if you don't have a sense of self, then how do you know that you exist? You are dependent on the environment around you being affected by your very existence, which then gives you a sense of knowledge that, because my environment is experiencing X, Y, Z, because I can have this effect on the environment, therefore I must exist. Therefore, I must have a bucket that is good. Now, in doing so, if the narcissist has created the environments around them such that the people around them are angry with them, are disgusted by them, that look down on them, or are fearful of them, or anxious around them, sometimes terrified around them, or depressed as a result of what they've done to the people around them, all of those emotions, all of that proves to be the narcissist's supply. It means that the narcissist feels like, surely I must exist. I must have a sense of self because I am affecting the people around me. It doesn't matter that it's negatively. In fact, negative narcissistic supply or narcissistic supply from negative emotions is extremely powerful for the narcissist. So know that narcissistic supply can come in either positive, like praise, adoration, compliments, and goodness, or they will try and mirror the people around them such that they appear like them, so that they can, these are the people who they want to be seen good with, so that other people can see them as that person. So by association, and therefore they get their supply. So this is all sort of positive, goodness and feeling all of this grandiosity. But narcissistic supply can also come from the negative parts, where they know that the environment around them is affected by their existence. All of these things is going to be filling the narcissist's bucket. The problem is there is a massive hole at the bottom, and things will always go through. So they have to keep giving themselves narcissistic supply. And this is why you will realize that narcissists tend to burn relationships very quickly, because for the duration that they're getting their narcissistic supply from that person, all is okay. But once they've gone through that adoration phase and then the discard phase, the disillusion phase, which we will talk about later, afterwards, the narcissist has no supply to obtain from that person. So what they do is go to the next person and to the next and to the next. I have clients who will come to me and say, yes, Daksha, that might make sense for some of the people, but my partner was completely fine for the first 3 months or 6 months or 3 years or 6 years or 17 years, 13 years. It doesn't matter with the time. Know that for the duration that you were able to provide that partner with the narcissistic supply that they needed, that life force that they needed, it was okay for them. It was when they no longer were able to obtain that level of supply from you that they will either discard you or you will discard them, because they will treat you so badly in order to get that supply. So at the core of narcissistic behaviors is narcissistic supply. If the narcissists are getting their supply, if they are getting their fix, they are in essence getting the oxygen that they need to breathe. What happens when the narcissist doesn't get this? Rest assured, they will feel anxious. When a narcissist is in their own company, with no validation being coming to them, with no negative attention coming to them, their bucket gets empty and it's almost like they are gagging for air. They start to feel apprehension. They start to feel anxious. They start to have a deep emptiness. So therefore, what do they do to improve it? They go out and get that supply. Another way to understand narcissistic supply is if you imagine that the deep inner sense of self for the narcissist is a black hole. Now, the nature of black holes in physics is such that they just suck everything in. They just take. And you may find in your lives that the narcissists around you are takers. They are incapable of giving unconditional love, attention, or to give anything unconditionally. It's always going to be on the condition that they get a narcissistic supply, a narcissistic hit in a sense. Once you understand narcissistic supply, you will start to understand that nothing the narcissist does is actually personal to you. They would be doing this regardless of who they are directing their narcissistic supply to. Excuse me. Be it their partners, be it their children, be it their work colleagues, be it their friends, be it strangers. They will hit out in the way that they hit out to get their narcissistic supply, and there is no discrimination, although you might think that there is. They do not discriminate. All they're concerned about is narcissistic supply. Understanding narcissistic supply means you can start to take a step back to understand where the narcissist is coming from. And if you can get that it's not personal to you, you can start your journey towards moving away and creating a whole new world for yourself where the narcissist does not exist in your reality. Please like, follow, share, and spread the word. And welcome to our community on all things narcissism and educating ourselves into protecting yourselves from the narcissist. We will slowly be moving on to the videos on how to protect yourself from narcissistic abuse. And if you have suffered narcissistic abuse, how to recover from that. It is possible to recover. Once you understand what feeds the narcissist, which is the narcissistic supply, cut off their supply, cut off their life force, and they will have nothing to do with you, and that will leave your path open to horizons that you never knew existed for you. First, we have to clear the path. Thank you.